What's up, YouTube? It's your boy John from Project Ellsworth. I'm with you today to give you guys another Top 20 for 2020 list. That is a series created by Joe TheHorrorMan and Jason from Horrific Nightmares within the horror community, where 2 times a month we pick our top 20 favorite movies from a chosen genre or subgenre. This month we are doing supernatural, haunted houses, and ghosts. Let's do it. Get it together, man. Got to relearn how to talk. As always, let me start off by saying I hope that you guys are doing well and staying safe. Alright, kicking things off, coming in at number 20 is the Guillermo del Toro film, Mama. I really dig this movie. I know there's a ton of wonky CGI in this thing, but I think the mommy character actually looks really cool. I dig this movie. I thought Jessica Chastain was great in this movie. Very convincing. I just enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the idea of the movie. I thought that the whole thing was pretty cool. As I said, there's some little pretty wonky CGI in it, but I liked it. And that's that. Coming in at number 19 is The Crow. I haven't watched this movie in quite some time, and I've been thinking about it quite a bit lately. I think I'm going to watch this very, very soon. This is a story where Brandon Fraser's character is... Brandon Fraser? Lord, Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee's character is killed, and him and his girlfriend are killed, and he comes back from the dead to avenge his and her deaths. Really good movie. This is the movie that he was unfortunately killed during the creating of, or during the filming of. I thought that movie was really cool. I never watched the second or third one. I've heard that the second one was decent, but the third one was not so much. But you know, that's all opinion. One of these days, maybe I'll watch those. I don't see me rushing to get to those anytime soon. But Brandon Lee was really, really good in The Crow. Such a tragic accident. That dude had a really big future ahead of him. Coming in at number 18, it's Christmas season, so why not Krampus? I like Krampus quite a bit too. I actually liked Krampus more than I expected to like Krampus. I thought that it would be decent, but I really enjoyed this movie. I thought this was also very well. The cookies is a little bit much in this movie, but I thought this was good. I think Krampus is awesome. It's Christmas time now. What's today? December 14th, I think. So I know that I'm going to be watching that anytime now. Alright, coming in at number 17 is The Conjuring. Of these movies, this is the first one that's actually like a horror movie. I thought that this movie was wonderful. Saw it in the theater. I've seen it several times since. It kicked off an entire franchise, or universe is what they refer to it as, the Conjuring universe. I thought this movie was scary. It legitimately made the hair on the back of my neck stand up a few times. Great movie. I love The Conjuring. Coming in at number 16 is the remake of Amityville Horror. I am not the biggest Amityville Horror fan in the world. I thought that Brolin was good in the first movie, Margot Kidder was cool in the first movie, but that movie was, for me, excuse me, gross. For me, the original Amityville Horror movie was very slow-paced. I could have fallen asleep 50 times watching that movie. It's been years since I've watched it, and that's why. I really should go back and revisit it, and I kind of have something in my head that I might be doing that. But I thought this one was way better. I thought Ryan Reynolds was fabulous in this movie. He'd been in a few movies before this, but for me, this is the movie that made that dude. I thought he was great in Van Wilder. I was a fan of his when he was on that TV show 20 or 25 years ago. Maybe even more, Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, or Two Guys, a Girl. I think that was it. Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But Ryan Reynolds in this movie was fabulous. He was scary. He was convincing. He was funny. He portrayed the character of a stepdad very, very well. I thought this movie was great. Early Chloe Grace Moretz movie, she was way little. 5 years old, 6 years old, something like that. This movie was great. If you haven't seen this movie, check this out. A lot of people hate on remakes. Don't hate on this one. This was good. clear my throat. It's early. Coming in at number 15, Sinister. This is another movie, man. This movie, I remember this movie in particular scaring my wife to death. I thought this was awesome. Ethan Hawke was fantastic in this movie. The whole cast was good, but he's the only one that I really that comes to mind of me recognizing and knowing well. Very good guy. He's an author. Moves his family into a house where several people were murdered, and he didn't tell them that. Comes across some old reel-to-reel films up in his attic, starts watching these movies, and it's actually recorded video of the murders that took place. It's a crazy movie. This is another one that is sincerely a scary flick. I really, really enjoyed Sinister. The second one's good too, but it's not nearly as good as the first one. All right, coming in at number 14 is Paranormal Activity. This is another one. When this movie first came out, I think they made this movie for also like next to no money. There's a few of them that have been made for dirt cheap that have turned out really well. This being one of them. This is right near the top of that list. If I'm not mistaken, independent films of all time grossing movies, Halloween 78 was in the lead for that. It held the record for that for the longest time. Then came along the Blair Witch Project. And if I'm not mistaken, then came along Paranormal Activity. This movie, so simple, very easy to make on a low budget. All you need is some darkness, a couple cool characters, a video camera, and great audio department. This movie was fantastic. I loved Paranormal Activity. These two are living in this house. Suddenly there seems to be some sort of a ghost or demon inside of this house, or spirit, and it is haunting the woman in the movie. I can't remember what her... Christy, maybe, was her name? This movie's good. The dude's name was Mika. I remember him. Mika is a much easier name, or a more unusual name. That's probably... whatever. This movie's fantastic. This is another one that spawned a franchise. I think there were 6 Paranormal Activity movies. I enjoyed all 6 of them. My least favorite being the 6th one, I think. But they were all good. I thought they were all pretty good. Paranormal Activity. Check it out if you haven't. Coming in at number 13 is As Above, So Below. This is basically a treasure hunter movie for, more or less. These people are going to France. They're going underground into the French catacombs where all of the bones and skulls of the dead bodies that were exhumed out of graves and thrown underground in Paris. They're looking for treasure under there, but they find a hell of a lot more than treasure under there. They find a hell of a lot more than they bargained for. This movie is another one. There is a lot of creepy stuff in this movie. Very well made. I absolutely love As Above, So Below. Fantastic movie. All right, here's another one that I absolutely love. Number 12 is Carrie. Love Carrie. Love Sissy Spacek in this movie. Right up at the top of my list, or near the top of my list of my favorite Stephen King movies of all time. This movie is just, it's awesome. I don't ever get tired of watching this. I've watched this again reasonably recently. Just love Carrie. I mean, what more can I say about it? Early John Travolta stuff. Great movie. Carrie is legendary in my eyes. Coming in at number 11 is Candyman. Love Candyman. This is the movie that gave Tony Todd a career. I met Tony Todd. He's awesome. I have a picture of me and him together back over there somewhere. Whatever. This movie's really good. Ghosts that they reveal more about him in the later movies. He was a slave. He had relations with a white woman, got her pregnant. Then they killed him by cutting off his hand and smothering him with bees. This movie is, I guess, I don't know, it's not the prequel to that. This is the sequel to all that. Whatever. This movie is good. Saw this in the movie theater when I was probably 20 or 21, maybe 22 years old when it came out. Absolutely loved it. I walked out of that theater with a smile on my face. The dude I was with was not the biggest horror movie fan in the world. He did not have a smile on his face when we walked out of that movie theater. Candyman's awesome. Tony Todd, legendary. Coming in at number 10 is a movie that I don't hear, in my opinion, nearly enough people talking about. The Possession of Michael King. This movie will scare you. It's friggin' awesome. Michael King's wife is killed tragically. He's left behind to raise his daughter alone. He feels like it's his fault that she was killed. And he starts to investigate satanic rituals and evil spirits and different religions and what's true and what's not true. And he messes with things that he shouldn't mess with. And things don't turn out real well for Mr. King. This movie is awesome. Blind Buy in Best Buy, brought it home, watched it, and this is probably right up at the top of my list as my favorite blind buys of all time. I love The Possession of Michael King. Fantastic, very underrated movie. Coming in at number 9 is It, Chapter 1. I liked It Chapter 2. Leave out T's. I liked It Chapter 2, but not nearly as much as this one. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, and this movie is absolutely spine-chilling. Pennywise is so friggin' cool in this movie. I loved it. The kids in this movie were fantastic. Everything about this movie, it is so well made. Absolutely love it. But I'll tell you what, man, Bill Skarsgård that does it for me. I mean, they could make 20 of these things. I know, I just very recently saw that there are talks of there being another It movie, and it being a prequel, taking place back in like the very, very beginning of Derry, back when there were no roads and everything was trees and there were pilgrims. It sounds like a really good idea. With this coronavirus going on in the world, who in the world knows if it's going to happen or when it's going to happen or where it's going to happen, but I hope it happens. After It Chapter 2 was done, I thought we were done with Pennywise. And another part of that I heard, in the same, I think I saw a YouTube video actually. In the same video, they mentioned that Stephen King has an idea for another It movie, for another It novel. So the movie is going to be like a prequel taking place before Chapter 1, and Stephen King is writing a novel that's going to take place after Chapter 2. So we'll see what happens, but that's Pennywise news. All Pennywise news is good news. All right, coming in at number 8 is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Fantastic movie. This is another one, man. This is just Emil Hirsch and Brian Cox are the stars of this movie. They are undertakers, or what is I think that's what they would be called. They're the people who examine bodies and do autopsies. Whatever. Let's see, now I gotta look. Killing time. Coroners. That's the word I'm looking for. They're coroners. This body shows up at the coroner's lab, and they are having trouble with this body, to say the least. They're finding very strange things in and on this body. Very strange things start to occur in the lab after she arrives there, and they start to perform the autopsy. This is another one. This movie will scare you. It is so well made and so atmospheric. It's phenomenal. This chick here was fantastic in the movie, and she didn't do nothing but lay there. This is great. Autopsy of Jane Doe. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. All right, coming in at number 7 is a movie that I have seen. I have not seen very many movies that have had much more of a mixed reaction to, but everybody that I've seen or heard talk about this that have seen this have definitely had a reaction to Hereditary. Ari Aster's movie. I think this is one of the better movies made in the last 25 years probably. Absolutely, positively love Hereditary. You want to talk about a shocking scene in a movie. Something happens in this movie towards the beginning that basically sets the tone for this whole movie that I didn't see coming. I watched this with my son, and both of us were slack-jawed when it happened. It's pretty shocking, and everything that takes place after this, it just slowly wedges its way under your skin and under your fingernails, and gives you the feeling of being uncomfortable better than just about any movie that comes to mind that I've ever seen in my life, except for maybe the next Ari Aster movie, but that one's not on this list. That one's Midsommar. I'm sure I will definitely talk about that at some point in the future. But this one right here, I'll tell you what, man. There's not been very many movies that I've seen in a long time that I liked as much as this one. Toni Collette in this movie should have won an Academy Award, but they don't like to give those to people in horror movies, unless you're Jordan Peele or Hannibal Lecter. Anyway, this is one, I'm assuming that you've all seen this, because everybody has an opinion on this. Some are better than others, I'll put it that way. But this movie, for me, is one of the best movies that I've seen in a very, very long time. Alright, coming in at number 6 is the legendary Tobe Hooper film, Poltergeist. Love Poltergeist. I've loved this movie since I was a kid. I've seen it seemingly 1,000 times. Haunted house. People buy a house in a housing development that apparently the developers removed the headstones from the graveyard that used to be there and left the bodies. And the houses are haunted, especially the one that's in this movie. They're haunted by the spirits of the ghosts. You have skeletons coming out of the ground. You have demons coming out of closets. You have clowns coming to life and attacking the children. Trees coming to life and coming through the windows. Poltergeist scared me to death when I was a kid. And that's why I will always love this movie. I always say that is one of the movies that created the horror fan that you see sitting here today. There are a few of them out there. Poltergeist is one. And another one is coming in at number 5 is Phantasm. Angus Scrimm as the tall man in this movie is awesome. This movie is one of those that you wonder what Don Coscarelli was smoking when he directed this film. It's out there. This movie's way out there. You have like little Jawa looking trolls that are supposed to be like time travelers, or they're hoarding bodies for fuel, or I don't even know. Excuse me. It's a crazy movie. The tall man works in like a mausoleum. He's handling caskets on his own, picking them up and putting them in and taking them out of cars by himself. There's flying silver sphere balls with blades and drills in them, killing it. I don't even know how to properly describe this movie. If you haven't seen Phantasm, check it out. And I think that it's probably very open to your interpretation. But this is another one of those movies that is so out there that it just gets under your skin and it's uncomfortable. It's weird. You spend the whole time wondering what in the hell's going on, and at the same time with a big smile on your face. At least I was anyway. That one is absolutely one of my earliest horror movie experiences, and I love it to death. All right, coming in at number 4 is one that would probably surprise a lot of people to be this high up on somebody's list, is the reboot of Evil Dead. When this movie came out, I was at the movie theater the day it came out at the very first screening, and when I left there, I was smiling from ear to ear. I was texting everybody I knew. I loved this movie. I'm a fan of Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. I like Ash. I love Bruce Campbell. But those movies aren't scary. This movie is scary. This movie is crazy. Well, the other ones are definitely crazy bloody. This movie is bloody and it's violent and it's scary. I loved this movie. I like the other ones, like I said, but this one, for me, in my opinion, is better than all 3 of those. When I want to watch a horror movie, I want to watch something that's going to scare me, and this is the movie that's going to scare me. The other 3 do not scare me at any point, especially Army of Darkness. I like them. I love a couple of them, but they're not scary to me. That one's scary. Coming in at number 3 is Clive Barker's Hellraiser. One of the most legendary characters ever created. Why can't I talk today? Ever created in the history of horror cinema. Pinhead is just great. Doug Bradley as Pinhead is great. The Cenobites are great. The atmosphere is great. Julia's great. The puzzle box is one of the coolest props in the history of horror movies. This is another one, though, man, that I was in high school when that one came out. And when I saw that, I was in love with Clive Barker. If he never made another movie again, that guy would be legendary in my mind for Hellraiser. Absolutely love it. Met Doug Bradley. Also, there's his autograph right there. And the picture of me and him, I think, is right here. It doesn't matter, you can't see it. But yeah, Hellraiser's phenomenal. Coming in at number 2 is my favorite haunted house movie of all time. It's just a really big ass house. The Shining. This is my really awesome steelbook. Love The Shining. A lot of people, or Stephen King especially, was not crazy about this because of how different Stanley Kubrick's interpretation of his novel was. But I don't care. This movie is wonderful. I've said it before in another video where I talked about this. This is not a list of your top interpretations of something. It's your favorite movies, and this movie is wonderful. I read the book, and this is nothing like the book. Jack Nicholson's portrayal of Jack Torrance and Shelley Duvall's portrayal of Wendy Torrance are just fantastic. And the Scatman was great. The little kid that played Danny, that I don't have any idea what his name is. Everything about this is wonderful. It's so creepy, and just the sexual undertone in this movie, and it's so dark and so disturbing. It's just good. This is what a horror movie is supposed to be. Oh God, I love this. You can't say it. I can't possibly say enough about The Shining. I've seen that movie. I guarantee you I've seen that movie no less than 50 times, and it's not enough. I love The Shining. And coming in at number 1 for me, it's got, it's kind of a haunted house. There's scenes in here that you could kind of think maybe are ghosts. It's definitely got supernatural elements to it. The Exorcist. This is probably my second favorite movie of all time. So it's definitely got to be my favorite one on this list. I love The Exorcist. This is another one. I've seen it time after time after time after time. I'm 49 years old. I've seen this movie 100 times or 200 times or 5,000 times, and it still gives me the chills every single time I watch it. Linda Blair in this movie is so damn good. It's just, Father Karras is great. What's the other guy's name? Father Marin, Mrs. McNeil. I can't remember all their names. Sorry. This is a great movie. It's impossible for me to say enough good things about this movie. Most horror fans out there will tell you that they think the scariest movie of all time is The Exorcist, and I agree. I think that is definitely the scariest movie that I've ever seen. It scares me to this day. It really honestly does. I read that book as well, and that book is scary as hell too. Of course it is. Typically, books do not scare me just because it's all in your own mind, and I guess maybe my mind doesn't operate that way for whatever reason. Books typically don't scare me at all. That book, it kind of gave me the chills a few different times, but the movie is legendary. Everything about it, it's just fantastic from beginning to end. I love that movie. Very slow burn. For the first half to 3/4 of it, it's a pretty slow burn, but the ending, you want to talk about a payoff? A slow burn with a payoff is a great movie. And you don't get much more of a payoff than the ending of The Exorcist. It's friggin' spectacular. Every scene with Regan when she's fully possessed by that demon it's mind-blowing. They should have given her an Academy Award. That movie was phenomenal across the board. All right, well, that's my list. Let me know what you guys think. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What are your thoughts? I'm going to get out of here. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you've been enjoying my content up to this point, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Later, folks.